welcome to livealittlehigher.com. In the book Hasidic Perspectives, a festival anthology by Rabbi Alter B. Metzger, and it's an adaptation of the discourses by Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the Lubavitcher Rebbe. It talks about Tu B'Shvat, which is the next holiday we will be celebrating on the 15th of Shvat, which is on Sunday night precisely, and Sunday night and Monday we're going to be celebrating this beautiful holiday of Tu B'Shvat, which is the Rosh Hashanah of the trees. It's the birthday of the trees, and there's many lessons that we can derive from this holiday from trees. Like really, there's so much we can learn from them. As it says, man is like the tree of the field. We're compared to trees. So one can learn much from current observance of Tu B'Shvat, the new year of the trees. For if man pays close attention to everything that occurs around him, then from everything which happens, he can increase his wisdom. Like the Baal Shem Tov used to say, like, everything you see is a message for you. There's nothing random in your life. If you see anything, if you see a little piece of paper in the street, there's a message for you in that. So everything can be learned from the everyday occurrences. And he says here, this pertains to matters both between man and God and between man and man. Nor is this limited to an unusual occurrence, but also relevant to the recurrent events. Thus, even from viewing a tree, we can derive many concepts affecting our daily life. So it's not just one little thing that you saw. It can be something that is recurring in your life, that happens all the time. These things we have to pay close attention to. So the majority of growths in the vegetative category are comprised of three parts. So we have the root, which is where the tree comes from, the root. We have the tree itself, which is comprised of trunk, branches, and leaves. And then the tree, if it's a fruit-bearing tree, we have the shell, the peel of the fruit itself, and the seeds. So each of these parts serves as different function in the life of a tree, and it's only by means of the roots that the tree stands firm and upright. So the part that is unseen, that you cannot see, really is one of the most important parts of the tree. Like if a tree has no roots, he's gonna fall with any wind. Like when I used to live in Florida, it was very interesting. After a big storm or a hurricane, you would see sometimes like these humongous trees, strong, like you would think like this is the strongest tree in the world, and after the storm they would all be broken, or they would have fallen down, they would be uprooted. And you would see like this humongous tree had the shortest roots. And that's why they were not strong really. In the way you saw them, they looked very strong, but the roots were very, very not strong, and any wind would come, and this tree would just break or fall down. So we see that the roots are firmly embedded in the ground. Then there is no danger that a strong wind will come and uproot the tree. And although the root is concealed from the eye of the viewer, the tree's primary vitality comes from the root through its source. In addition, there are other sustaining means, but the roots of the tree is what flows all the water that goes into the tree comes from the roots. So as for example, the leaves absorbing necessary nutrients, like the leaves also, they photosynthesize, they need the sun gives the tree other nutrients to be able to look beautiful. And the sun, we need the sun for the tree to grow and to be strong. But the roots really, which is that part that is unseen, is a very important part. So the trunk is the major part of the tree, what we see, the biggest part of the tree. And with the passage of time, this trunk grows. Like, you know the age of a tree by the different circles it has in the trunk. And also, depending on how strong the trunk is, the amount of branches and leaves of the tree are going to increase. So it's particularly through analysis of the tree's trunk that the experts can determine the age of the tree. So, however, the primary purpose of the tree, the purpose for which it was created, is to bear fruit. If a tree doesn't bear fruit, then what's the purpose? Like, maybe yes, it can give us some shade, but the primary purpose is the fruit. And the tree's fertility is on the most part evidenced by means of the seeds taken from that fruit and planted to cause the growth of other trees. So the fruit are the ones that are going to plant other trees. So dependent on the fruit, the quality of the fruit that the tree gives us, that tree has it's gonna be eternal, because it's gonna bear more fruit and more fruit and more fruit, and the fruits are gonna give more seeds, and the seeds are gonna give more trees. So the Torah states, man is like a tree of the field. In many respects, including the spiritual sense, man is similar to a tree. And here are some of the things that we can learn from these aspects of the tree. So the root of the tree is equivalent to the faith of the Jew. The faith is something that is internal. It's something that a Jew carries inside of him. It's not something that you see. So in this manner, he's connected with the realm and the source of his life. When a person has emunah and bitachon, when he works on this part of himself, then he's very much connected to his life force. He's being sustained directly by Hashem, by the energy of God, by the Ein Sof. So even if one has matured to significant levels in the study of Torah and the performance of mitzvot, the vitality of a Jew is derived from his faith in God. This is what sustains a Jew. This is where we get our nourishment, really, is from our faith. And I see a lot of people that are suffering too much because they're lacking this part of themselves. Yeah, they look like a tree. They have a trunk, they have branches, they have nice fruits. But if the wind comes, they'll crash down. There's nothing to sustain them. So this faith is really the sanctity of the Torah, the connection of a Jew to the Torah, and the belief that Hashem gave us this Torah, and this is our sustenance. This is what connects us to Him. So the trunk of the tree connotes the study of Torah and the fulfillment of the mitzvot. So we have 248 mitzvahs and 365 we have 248 positive mitzvahs and 365 negative mitzvahs, which are connected to parts of our body. So the 248 positive are equal to the 248 limbs of our body. And the 365 negative commandments correspond to the 365 sinews within the body, which ideally should constitute the major part of the Jew's deeds and accomplishments. On the basis of the quantity of the Torah that a Jew learns and the amount of mitzvot that he does, this can determine the significant lifespan of an individual. So we are not measured by the amount of years that we live in this world, like the tree that you count the rings around its trunk, but we are measured by the amount of good deeds and knowledge of Torah that we attain during our lifetime. So the years of a Jew are rich because of his Torah and his mitzvot. So the ultimate self-realization of a Jew's life really is by the fruit. And so yes, the fruits can be our children, our physical children, but it can also be related to spiritual children. So people that we influence, people that we touch, people that we teach, people that we help. And we should endeavor that these people in turn also turn into trees, individual trees that will also bear fruit and will also continue helping other people. This is the whole purpose. You know that we learned the Hodot HaLevavot, and Rabbi Pakuda says that one of the things that gives us reward in the world to come really is how many people we influence in our life. It's very important to influence people for the good, to be a good example, to show them the way. So not only to live for ourselves, but to live for others too. So he should endeavor that these people in turn become individual trees and they also bear fruit. And then it says that that they develop in their Torah identity, possessing roots, the primary qualities of faith, and the trunk with branches, which is the Torah study and the mitzvot, and the bearing fruit, which is giving benefit to others. So, in summation, in conclusion, the root of a Jew and the primary aspect of his identity is pure faith. This is number one that we have to work on ourselves every day of our lives in acquiring emunah and bitachon, that we have to work on this. This is, we're giving a certain amount of faith innately in ourselves, but the world sometimes gives us questions, and sometimes we question, and sometimes our faith falls down. But nevertheless, this is a constant battle within the Jew, that we should always be working on that faith. We have to learn about faith, we have to pray, we have to do all these things that will give us this strength, this inner strength that will allow us to be a strong trunk. So any element of weakness in faith represents a significant threat to the sustained spiritual life of a fully grown person. A person that is lacking in faith suffers a lot. It's a terrible life. And this is so even if the significantly major part of his life is characterized by the constantly progressive increase in virtuous deeds. So yes, there's many people who are very good, they're very kind, they do a lot of good in the world, but nevertheless their faith is lacking. So the perfection or wholeness of an individual is in the act of bearing fruit, and in influencing others, and in aiding them to live meaningful lives in which they will fulfill their tasks and God's purpose in their creation. So if you don't have good roots, if you don't have faith, how can you give good fruit? It's not going to be good fruit. You have to have faith in order to be able to leave an imprint in this world, to be able to live good people that will continue in this way of life. So does the actions of the individual bear fruit, and this fruit in turn bears other fruit. This sustained sequence, constantly progressing and bearing the fruit of Torah and mitzvot in future generations, and all of this results from the initiative of the individual who begins the sequence. So this reminds me of a story, a beautiful story of a man that is working, and he's tired, and he finds a tree, and he sits under the tree, and the tree gives him a beautiful shade, and he can rest, and then he wants to bless the tree, but it's such a magnificent tree, he doesn't know what to bless him with. He has everything. So the man looks at the tree and says, I bless you that your fruit should be better than you. And this is a blessing I give you. I bless you. Hashem should bless you that your fruit should be better than you. And in this way, we will make a beautiful world. So happy Tu B'Shvat, Hag Sameach. It's a custom to sit down and do a Seder and eat the fruits that are grown in the land of Israel, and the wheat, and just do it. Sit down Sunday night, make a beautiful fruit platter, make brachas, and enjoy it, and remember your connection to it. If you want to learn more about Tu B'Shvat, if you go to my website, livealittlehigher.com, you will find the previous classes on this beautiful holiday that I have recorded the previous years. So Hag Sameach and live a little higher. Thank you.